Charles Dickens, A Walk in His Footsteps. Many people dream of being a fly on the wall, or even better, a companion and friend to the great artists of the day. We cannot offer you quite that, but we can take you on a walk through parts of London that will give you a real sense and feel of the world of Dickens and its impact upon himself, his characters and stories. Your tour guide is Emma Parker, and the book extracts are read by Richard Mitchley. Tours with Emma for Dickens and other eye-opening walks in London can be found at www.coutours.co.uk. Coutours, COUTOURS.co.uk.
Hello, I'm Emma Parker, and I'm the founder of Coutours, and I'm going to take you on a tour today of Charles Dickens' London. I offer many different tours, including the East End and Hidden London. But today we're going to concentrate on Southwark and other parts of North London as I take you through London that Charles Dickens would have known and loved. So, here we are at London Bridge. We're standing in the shadow of the Shard. It's that big pointy building, in case you didn't know, and considered the tallest building in Western Europe now. We're also here amongst the criss-cross of railway bridges, and we're going to talk about Charles Dickens, his stories and his sort of unique view of London. South of the river, or as it used to be called, the Surrey side, was the area of London that seemed to have the most impact on Charles, and it also led him to some of the wonderful works of literature that are revered and loved the world over. Charles Dickens was born in Portsmouth in 1812. He was the second of 8 children born to John and Elizabeth Dickens. The family moved around a fair amount. They came up to Bloomsbury in London, and then they went to Chatham in Kent. In 1822, after what Charles describes as an idyllic childhood, John Dickens wrenched his family away from the gentle ways of Kent and into the sprawling metropolis of London. So this is where we start our tour. This is where we start our story. But before we move away and talk about Dickens, I'm going to put this area into context and why it was such an unusual place for such a boy to have known and lived. No one puts it better than Charles Dickens himself in Oliver Twist.
Near to that part of the Thames on which the church at Rotherhithe abuts, where the buildings on the banks are dirtiest, and the vessels on the river blackest with the dust of colliers and the smoke of close-built, low-roofed houses, there exists the filthiest, the strangest, the most extraordinary of the many localities that are hidden in London, wholly unknown, even by name, to the great mass of its inhabitants. To reach this place, the visitor has to penetrate through a maze of close, narrow and muddy streets, thronged by the roughest and poorest of waterside people, and devoted to the traffic they may be supposed to occasion. The cheapest and least delicate provisions are heaped in the shops. The coarsest and commonest articles of wearing apparel dangle at the salesman's door and stream from the house parapet and windows. Jostling with unemployed labourers of the lowest class, ballast heavers, coal whippers, brazen women, ragged children, and the raff and refuse of the river, he makes his way with difficulty along, assailed by offensive sights and smells from the narrow alleys which branch off on the right and left, and deafened by the clash of ponderous wagons that bear great piles of merchandise from the stacks of warehouses that rise from every corner. Arriving at length in streets remoter and less frequented than those through which he has passed, he walks beneath tottering house fronts projecting over the pavement, dismantled walls that seem to totter as he passes, chimneys half-crushed, half-hesitating to fall, windows guarded by rusty iron bars that time and dirt have almost eaten away, every imaginable sign of desolation and neglect.
The Surrey side of the river had been outside the jurisdiction of the City of London. This was until the reign of Henry VIII. In fact, London Bridge was the only bridge over the River Thames for nearly 17 centuries. It was an area that had the dubious accolade of being the pleasure part of town. Prostitution was rife in the stews of South London. Theatres, bear and bull baiting pits were a rather risque pastime. Even by the time of Dickens, a lot of undesirable and smelly stink industries, including breweries, tanneries, hat makers, food bottling plants, prisons and hospitals, were based in the southeast so that the southwest.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?